TBPN. UFC landed a $7.7 billion deal with Paramount after a whirlwind 48 hours, according to TKO executives. But zoom out for me. Explain UFC. This is the punching one, or the punching one and the kicking one? How does UFC
This is one of your best bits. So Senra and I love UFC.
Yep.
And we'll text John and say, hey, John, do you want to watch come over and watch like the pay-per-view tonight?
Yeah,
and John
the game.
Goes, awesome.
I love watching the game
playing?
with my boys.
Who's playing tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm there if the teams are good.
Yeah,
if there's a good matchup. Yeah, but it depends on who's starting. I want to know.
It'll depend on the starting lineup.
I want to know who's playing.
So, UFC.
The kicking and punching one.
The kicking and punching one.
They can do both.
And wrestling.
They can do wrestling too.
And choking.
Okay.
Rear naked chokes.
That's
a popular move.
Got it. Kind of a mixture of experts model in fighting sports.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Multimodal.
Yes, exactly. So, long relied on the pay-per-view model. Worked well before the internet and illegal streaming. And the pay-per-view model has been in decline. UFC has also struggled to surface new American superstars. A lot of the biggest stars are international, but UFC's biggest market is in the US. International stars have a lot of fans in the US, but they're not driving pay-per-views, right? People in Brazil are not paying $100 to watch a single card, right? And so the pay-per-view model has been in decline. The UFC's relationship with ESPN has been a little bit rocky.
Pay-per-view model in decline, is that just because of the trends in like how yappy and how popular the fighters are, or is there something else going on at like a technological level where I don't have to click any buttons to open Instagram Reels or TikTok or YouTube, and with pay-per-view it's like technically difficult, it's kind of janky tech systems? Is that like a real headwind, or is that like fake news?
So there's definitely friction to buying pay-per-views.
Yeah.
You got to like be on a traditional television.
It's not like in-app purchase, like double tap and Face ID, like that level.
It's not that easy. I mean, I think you can go in the ESPN app and like buy the pay-per-view, but a lot of people aren't buying the pay-per-view to watch it on their phone.
Sure.
I think the bigger challenge and something that
and Apple would take 30% if you paid on your phone. So even then,
I don't know.
I think they would because it's digital.
A real world.
It's digital.
Oh, because it's streaming.
It's for sure. It's for sure digital. Okay. So,
but the funny thing is,
ton of friction.
Is Dana's been in this challenge because he gets very frustrated about illegal streams, and he'll every now and then he'll be like, if you're watching a stream tonight, illegal stream tonight, we're coming for you. We're coming for you. And everyone's like, okay. I don't know how you're planning to do that. But they try to take, I think that they try to like DDoS the various streaming sites. Right?
Oh, interesting.
Like you can just like send a ton of traffic.
And then they probably have someone like talking to Twitch and being like, we are going live right at this time. You need to have someone searching and taking down streams actively.
Yeah, but there's plenty of other like more decentralized illegal streams that are happening
all these
on
different
like
ones.
Random URLs.
With even just somebody spinning up like their own thing.
Right? And so Dana was in a tough position because the more he talks about illegal streaming affecting the business, the more people are like, wait,
I can stream it illegally. It's a little Streisand effect,
And so he had been looking for a new home for UFC. People had debated, would Netflix be a potential buyer there? There's a lot of potential candidates.
Meta Quest. You have to buy the headset. You got to watch it in VR.
I'm sure. I mean, Dana's obviously on the Meta board, and I'm sure that idea got.
$7.7 billion. That's one researcher. Just cut one head count from MSL, and you're good. And Zuck can just own all of UFC and be like, look, put on the headset, or you don't get to watch.
Yep.
No,
well,
anyway.
The deal that was reported were in Yahoo Sports. How the UFC landed a $7.7 billion deal with Paramount after a whirlwind 48 hours, according to TKO execs. Beginning in 2026, all UFC events will stream on Paramount Plus, with select events also airing on CBS. And so anyways, Ben Folks is reporting just how big of a surprise was the UFC's bombshell $7.7 billion deal with Paramount and CBS. So big that even UFC CEO Dana White didn't see it coming. No, this is a quote, "No, I didn't think this is where we'd end up," White said Monday during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show. Shout out to Pat.
to
discuss the new broadcasting rights deal. But this is sort of how it played out. I love it. These guys are obviously smart guys, very aggressive. He's talking about the team, the new team over at Paramount. So in an interview with CNBC, TKO president and CEO Mark Shapiro said he initially expected to make a deal that would bring only the UFC Fight Night events to Paramount, but after Skydance, and Fight Night events have always aired on ESPN, just fully ad-supported.
Yeah,
so
got it.
But after Skydance Media completed its deal to purchase control of Paramount last week, Shapiro said the deal for the entirety of the UFC's U.S. broadcast rights came together in just 48 hours. Now, instead of just the 30 UFC Fight Night events per year, Paramount will feature, and the Fight Night events were events that wouldn't draw big pay-per-view buys.
Those were not the numbered UFC events.
Correct.
So it's like UFC 776.
Yes.
That's like pay-per-view. Fight Night's just random on the
and
the
there's
TV.
only 13 of those events per year.
13
so
numbered
more.
and 30 Fight Nights. So
Correct.
almost every week there's something if you're
There's
a
always
UFC
action.
fan. But you're really, once a month is when you really want to tune in.
But for they sort of depend on more casual fans historically to drive pay-per-views. People that are like, I watch UFC when Conor McGregor's fighting, right?
Yeah.
That's what
spike
really
the
spikes
pay-per-view
the
and
pay-per-view
have kind of a
volume.
power law outcome that
people
day.
getting together being like, hey,
Yep.
we're going to buy the pay-per-view.
Yep.
We're gonna watch it.
Sure,
You should
sure,
come
sure.
over, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So possibly the biggest news in all of this for fight fans is the end of UFC's pay-per-view era. Ever since the first UFC event in 1993, pay-per-view has been a vital part of the UFC strategy. Remember, UFC, when it started airing on TV, was thought to be, it was so shocking and violent to people that even politicians wanted to get it banned.
Wow.
Like they were like, this should not be on television.
Yep.
So it had to be in that bucket.
Oh, it had
of,
to be
like,
pay-per-view
paid content.
because it was like,
So,
it was like adult restricted anyway.
so under
do the fighters need to sleep well before the fights?
of course,
They have to be on 8 sleep. Pod 5.
that's right.
5-year warranty, 30-night risk-free trial, free returns, free shipping.
We got to make sure Bo Nickel, friend of
eightsleep.com.
the show, is on an 8 sleep. I'm going to message him after this.
Okay,
and say,
perfect.
Let's
Anyway,
figure this
continue.
out. So, ever since the first UFC event in 1993, pay-per-view has been a vital part of the UFC strategy. Under the current deal with ESPN, each UFC pay-per-view costs $79.99 in the US, plus the cost of the ESPN Plus subscription on top of that. So you got to subscribe, and then you got to pay per event.
Sure.
With the pay-per-view revenues reportedly in decline, it makes sense for the UFC to finally ditch that model. The fact that it's doing so as part of a deal that will essentially double the roughly $550 million per year the UFC currently receives from ESPN likely only made that calculation easier.
This is crazy. This is crazy. When they find out, wait, if I just sign up for Paramount Plus for $12.99 a month, I'm going to automatically get UFC's numbered fights and the rest of the portfolio. That's a message we want to amplify. That is a crazy, crazy value change. Because if you were doing all 13, if you were the hardcore UFC pay-per-view buyer, you're up at $1,000 a year on UFC pay-per-view, basically, like $700, $800. Like that's a lot of money, and you're going from there down to $12.99 a month. That's $150 basically. That is a steep savings.
Yeah,
the hardcore fans are going to be excited.
Yeah, and
That's
a lot of fans would, somebody's hosting the pay-per-view one night.
They
so
split
a
it
number
or
of people
something.
there,
Yeah, it makes sense. But
whatever.
still, I mean, that's a big savings. I do wonder what the ad load will be like, because when we watched UFC a couple months ago with David Senra, I noticed that it felt extremely content rich, and like the flow of the show was fantastic, because you'd just be watching a fight, and then it would cut to the commentary, the post show, in ring. Joe Rogan's doing an interview, and then pretty quickly they start telling you who's coming up next. And the actual fight, you're only watching maybe like a half an hour of fighting over an hour or two of content, but it didn't feel like, oh, I'm at crazy commercial break and I'm totally taken out of the stadium. Like even they did a really good job with the production to show, like, when they show you the stats, it's virtually laid over in the stadium. Like you're watching a camera pan around the stadium. So it actually kind of feels like you're there the whole time. It was really well produced. I wonder if they'll lose any of that by stuffing ads all over the place.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, and you compare that to NFL.
Yeah.
NFL's like roughly, I think, 25% of the time allotted to NFL is advertising.
Yeah.
And
it's
that's
certainly
not the case. That hasn't been the case for pay-per-views.
Yeah, and it certainly feels like it's like a shift in the type of content. Yeah, they just got to work on making seamless transitions to advertisements like we do here with FinAI, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive bake-offs, #1 ranking on G2. You can get started at fin.ai.
And anyway, so Paramount is or Skydance, young Ellison. Is just getting aggressive across the board, right? There's been rumors of this free press acquisition that I'm sure is still in the works, but it had been reported it was $250 million for the free press.
Yeah.
From our sense, they have about a million people subscribed to their newsletter, vast majority of which are non-paid, and so that just says that Paramount sees, and CBS, Paramount, the combined, and Skydance, sort of this combined entity, just see the free press and as highly, and Barry Weiss specifically is just highly strategic.
Yeah,
right?
And then CBS also cut the Late Show, which is losing $40 million a year. So they're really really shuffling the chips around, like really restructuring the organization. Like, what does CBS actually do? Well, now it's potentially UFC and Barry Weiss as opposed to Stephen Colbert, I guess, in terms of like headline stuff. I love this article. Back in 2009, Dana White swore that if UFC 100 did 1 million pay-per-view buys, he'd bungee jump off the Mandalay Bay. It did. He didn't. When UFC 151 was canceled after John Jones refused an opponent switch, White called Jones's coach Greg Jackson a sport killer. He left a crater in the UFC schedule that only MMA fans could fully appreciate. A few years later, when Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz shattered the pay-per-view world record at UFC 196, it was a testament to how big the sport had become. We cared about those numbers as much as we did the outcome. Since UFC 1, when people paid out of morbid curiosity, this is what you were talking about earlier, pay-per-views have been a vital part of the identity of the sport. It's hard to get nostalgic over being gouged, but what follows here shouldn't be mistaken as such. But Monday's news of UFC coming, $7.7 billion partnership with Paramount came with a small pang of sadness upon realizing the pay-per-view model will soon belong to a bygone
I'm interested
era.
to see how this impacts the fighters, because early in their UFC careers, they don't get any exposure to pay-per-views points, which is like a percentage of pay-per-view sales that top fighters would earn. So if you were a rising fighter and you got on a pay-per-view card, you weren't necessarily getting cut into that revenue. But if you were Conor McGregor or a true superstar, you were actually getting some percentage of the sales, right?
Yeah.
They call these pay-per-view points. And so now that model is going away, I mean, I'm sure the #1 thing on the fighter's mind with this new deal is how are we going to actually, basically get cut into this new structure, right? Because historically, a lot of fighters have critiqued the way that UFC fighters are comped, but
this
still
is such a funny, nostalgic article. This writer clearly really loves UFC. Back in the mid-aughts, the UFC combined the tuxedo affairs of 1990s boxing with the vibes of an underground temptation. From there, it slowly stockpiled its greatest passions behind the paywall. Remember how red Dana's face would turn as he tried to sell the pay-per-view at the end of the televised portion of the card? Remember the names? He goes through. BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, go through the posters of the past, and they were special. They were the special attractions. The names on the marquee for the numbered events. Those were some good parties we shelled out for. As MMA fans, they were ours. Well,
end of an era.
Yeah.
And
probably a lot
TKO
broader, honestly.
Holdings, the company that, of course, owns WWE and the UFC, is a $36.8 billion company as of today. It's up 11.